Hey everyone, my topic of seminar is occupied field theory. There are mainly two forms of government, as we know, unitary and federal. In the unitary form, the maximum or the only source of power lies with the central government. This type of government can be seen in countries like France, Japan, China, etc. In the federal form of government, the power is divided between both the center and the state. Classic example of the federal form of government are countries like United States and India. The main characteristic of the federal form of government is the division of powers between the center and the states. If you take the case of India, in the Constitution of India, the relations between the center and the state for power sharing are divided into three heads: legislative relations, administrative relations, and financial relations. The legislative relations have been discussed in the Constitution from Article 245 to 255. The relations have been discussed with respect to two different aspects, that is territorial jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction. Territorial jurisdiction means who can make law applicable over a certain specific territory, while subject matter jurisdiction refers to the subject matter of the law. The subject matters in which the center and state can make laws have been discussed in the 7th schedule of the Constitution by categorizing them into three lists. List 1, or the Union list, has 100 subject matters which are basically of national importance, like defense, atomic energy, etc. Parliament has exclusive power to make law related to those items. List 2, or the state list, contains 61 items which are of local or regional importance, like agriculture, police, etc. States have exclusive power to make law related to those items. The third list, or the concurrent list, contains 52 items in relation to which both state and the center can make laws. So thus we see that the Indian Constitution has delineated the powers of Parliament and the state legislatures through these three lists provided in the 7th schedule. However, there has been considerable legal controversy over the scope of some of the entries due to their peculiar wordings, and they being made subject to the acts of Parliament. So with that context, let us try to understand what is the occupied field theory. Article 254 deals with various situations that could give rise to repugnancy. We know that. Repugnancy arises if there is a conflict between two legislations, one enacted by the state legislature and the other by the Parliament, both of which are competent enough to do so. So they are created within their competence. The doctrine of occupied field is enshrined in Article 254 Part 1, and it stipulates that if there exists a central law on a concurrent subject, then there cannot be a state law to override it. The doctrine of occupied field comes into picture even before the union law or the state law has commenced. talking about the commencement of the law. Under Article 255, as soon as a union law receives assent of the Parliament, it is said to be a law made by the Parliament. Actual commencement of the law is not important for the purpose of attracting the doctrine of occupied field. So now let us understand the theory more with the help of one of the famous cases. In the case of State of Kerala and others versus Messrs. Mar Abraham Khoury Company Limited and another, the state enacted the Chit Funds Act. In fact, the center enacted the Chit Funds Act, and for that law to become operative in any state, the central government would have to issue a notification under Section 3 of the Central Act. In the meantime, the state of Kerala enacted a separate act on chit funds called the Kerala Chitties Act. However, the central act did not get notified in Kerala, resulting in a situation where there was only one act in force in the state of Kerala. It was contended that the Kerala Chitties Act was repugnant to the unnotified central act. The Supreme Court held in this case that even an unnotified central law attracts Article 254. The reasoning given by the Supreme Court was that the central enactment covered the entire field of chit funds under the concurrent list. Even though the Central Chit Funds Act was not brought in force in the state of Kerala, it is still a law made which is alive as an existing law. Thus, the state legislature lost the legislative competence as soon as the Parliament, by enacting the Central Act, intended to occupy the entire field of chit funds under the concurrent list. There are also other cases. In the Supreme Court itself, the Supreme Court cases such as Tikaramji versus State of UP, Ishwari Khetan sugar mills versus State of Uttar Pradesh, etc. are cases where Supreme Court has consistently evoked the doctrine of occupied field to describe the loss of power of the state legislature over fields of legislation in certain circumstances. The doctrine of occupied field has nothing to do with the conflict of laws between the state and the center. It is merely concerned with the existence of legislative power, whereas repugnance is concerned with the exercise of legislative power that is shown to exist. And another case is Prabhakar Dattatreya Jani versus the state of Maharashtra, in which the Bombay High Court held that the Reserve Bank of India Act, the Banking Regulations Act and the Companies Act do not occupy the field which the impunged Tamil Nadu Act occupies. The court said that the Tamil Nadu Act was enacted to eliminate the condition of thousands of depositors who had fallen into the clutches of fraudulent financial establishments who had raised hopes of high rate of interest and thus duped the depositors. So to conclude, we see that there is a very thin line of difference between the doctrine of repugnancy and the doctrine of occupied field. Repugnance arises if there is an actual conflict between two legislations, one enacted by the state legislature and the other by Parliament, both of which are competent in that field. On the other hand, the doctrine of occupied field simply refers to those legislative entries of state list which are expressly made subject to a corresponding entry in either the union list or the concurrent list. That's all in this discussion. Thank you.